indoor project. I'm going to be planting up the seeds I harvested from my 2 Mammillarias. And I know the difference between the two just because they happen to be different colors, but labeling is probably a good idea when you're working with different seeds. So I'm going to start by showing you what materials I'm going to use, and that is a takeout container that is opaque on the bottom. We want those roots to be protected from the sun, and it has to be a covered container as well. I have put holes in it because I don't want it to roast out in the summer heat. I do want it to have a little bit of ventilation, but I want it covered so that the moisture stays in as the seed is developing roots and starting to grow. So this is what not to use. Remember, your roots need to be protected from the sun. So anything around the edges is not going to be protected in this container. So these are ideal, and I always love to recycle things, reuse things, and keep them out of the landfills. So the next thing that I should point out is that I have labeled it. And I can't tell you how many times I have planted seeds and somehow it's gotten separated from the name. So I have just written it right on the container. And if that happens, a lot of seedlings look alike. So you're going to have to wait a couple years until they really have their own characteristics to re-identify them. So, and that's a problem if you don't know how to take care of them. So that is labeled with, I just used a Sharpie marker. And what I have put in my soil, my containers, is seed starting mix. And that is a nice loose mix that will enable the roots to grow and develop very easily. So I'm just using Miracle-Gro. There's probably a lot of different varieties out there. That may not be ideal for grown-up cactus, but seedlings need a lot of moisture. So I'm going to go ahead and use that for my seedling mix. And it's important to start with really clean containers, clean hands. Some people sterilize the soil. I believe that the soil mix I buy is sterile, but some people will take it a step further and either bake it or microwave it. Because I have so many cacti and succulents, I'm not going to be devastated if they don't strike, but I'm just going to go ahead and trust that it's sterile soil. I know that I have sterilized my containers with hot water and an antibacterial soap. I know I've washed my hands, and I'm going to get started. So the other reason that you should always plant this type of seed indoors is that they are absolutely tiny. So you do not want just the smallest gust of wind to come along and blow them away. And before I put my seed on top of the mix, they're small enough that you don't need to bury them. You just sprinkle them on top. I'm going to go ahead and wet it. And I'm going to get it nice and wet. The reason I'm not watering it afterwards is the seeds can float on top of the soil once you water it, and then they can all bunch up in one place. So if I want to scatter these seeds and have them stay where they are, I'm just going to water it first. And later on, this might be too much of a harsh watering method. You may want to, later on, if it needs more moisture in there, you may want to take a spray bottle to it. So basically, all that's left after you've sterilized and set everything up is to sprinkle the seeds out. And I think what I'm going to do is just sort of let it stick to my fingers and just rub my fingers together and spread that out in a random way. And I know some people are good at making rows and everything, but I've had luck with just sprinkling the seed over the top. And whatever strikes, strikes. And that's all there is to it. This is the Mammillaria silver arrows, and those should be just fine now. So that one is finished. I'm going to go ahead and cover that up. And I have in the past not kept the cover on long enough. I know people that keep it on there 6 months to a year. So this time I'm going to try it 6 months to a year to keep them really protected. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the same process over here with my old lady cactus seeds. And guys, this is probably too big of a container, but I really like the greenhouse style of this, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there, and it will be just fine. You can also use a plastic bag around a smaller container if you wanted, but I just really like these containers, and they've been successful before. So there they are, all planted up. They have moisture, they have dirt, they've been labeled, everything is clean. And all we have to do is cross our fingers. The last thing that you need for these is patience, because let me show you what I did a year ago. I planted these, and I'm quite proud of this because this was also a seed pod from one of my cacti. So this is what you get in a year, and as you can see, it is absolutely tiny. And I have to say, I've abused these guys a little bit, and they've still come along great. I don't think I've lost very many of them. In fact, they're replanted now. But this is what it takes to get. This is what it looks like 1 year later. So it's a slow process, but it's lots of fun. And I have 2 more examples. And this is a little astrophytum, and again, it's a year old, hard to believe. These are also different types of astrophytum. So there you go, guys. It's all planted up, and the last thing I want to tell you is these need to go in the shade. Summertime and springtime are the best time to plant them because they do need warm weather in order to germinate. So, but they should not be in the direct sun because the greenhouse effect will be just too much heat going on. So I'm going to put those in the shade all summer where they'll be warm, and hopefully they will germinate. And in 6 months to a year, I'm gonna gradually ease off the lids, and we'll be going great. But the other last thing I wanted to point out is if you want a higher success rate, split your seeds up into 2 different containers, because something can go wrong in one of those containers. And again, I'm not doing that here because I have plenty of cactus and succulents, and if something should happen, I'm not going to be devastated. But if you want 100% success rate with your seeds, split them between 2 containers in case something happens. So there you go, guys, and I will certainly keep you updated about this, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.